So I got you, people. So today we're not gonna talk about SpaceX, cause SpaceX already did his run. So my brother hit me up. Like I say, me and my brother, we exchanging, right? He gives me information on whatever stocks is probably its potential that I'm interested, and then I send him any stocks that are doing well, that's paying dividend, because that's what I go into, those stocks. But my brother likes to trade, so I don't trade at all. I tried the ones and it didn't work out good for me, so I don't trade no more. I just keep my stocks and let it pay for itself. So I don't put money into the market. I let the dividends reinvest and let it work its like they say, let it roll and roll like the snowball effect. I don't know if that does the same, like throwing a rock into the lake and let it bounce and bounce until it stops. But either way, it doesn't stop, because quarterly I get dividends either way. So he called me up that is this new stock, right, that's gonna come on the market called Anthropics, right? It's going to IPO also. Look at this. A lot of things are coming up, man. There's a lot of opportunity. It all depends on the company's price and the shares of stock. I think if Anthropic, when he puts it on public offering, is he puts the stock, his shares low enough that everybody can buy, even a person that's broke down in his luck, that he wants to probably gain some money, but you don't go fast try to cash it out. You live it sit for a while. If it didn't cost you that much, it's a chance for you to make money and reinvest it. So that's what I do. I reinvest my money, I let it grow, and I just leave it there until I need it for something that I really, really want, because I'm getting too old. It's nothing I can keep and nothing like that. So I want to use my money wisely in case I want to do some kind of adventure that I'm enjoy at the last minute. So there's Anthropic, right? IPO that my brother sent me, and the filing that the Anthropic IPO file was on June 1st, 2026. I think they did it early, but it didn't show up because SpaceX already was in the NASDAQ and all the other platforms. So I guess these other companies that are making money also want to try their chance in the market. So that's why you're having all these new IPOs now. And Anthropic is another AI technology that is doing good. That's why they're offering an IPO to the public now. But before that, nobody ever thought that to get in the NASDAQ and the platform markets, exchange. So now a lot of companies are taking chance and putting their paperwork to the SEC, right? The Security Exchange Commission. So the Tropic, right? Anthropic? No, Anthropic. I'm telling you, yo, all this information and things like that gets you thinking and things like that. But anyway, on June 1st, 2026, the Artificial Intelligence Lab, I guess that's what it is, artificial intelligence, and that's what they do, confidentially submitted a draft registering statement from S1 with the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission. That's the SEC. That on the SEC is the Security Exchange Commission, and the timeline for the IPO could happen as early as fall of 2026. That's right close, right away, and it's this year, 2026, on the fall. Through the exact timing, it depends on the SEC's review. I guess they're reviewing their filing process and border market conditions. Everybody got to go through, they got to review their files and things like that. See, they keep their revenue up, I think the SEC, asking for too much money just to get inside the NASDAQ and things. These are companies like S&P 500 that the company's got to be like that in order to get into the NASDAQ, unless you're going to get into these small platforms, and I guess they don't want to go to these small platform. But I think it's better if the company goes all brought out to the NASDAQ, you know, to small platforms like Robinhood, E-Trade, you know, Icon, whatever, Corn, you know, Reddit, all these little platforms. So the regular 9-to-5 person, you know, could invest. You know, now that these other companies, they're not doing anything like AMC, GameStop, you know, those companies that I don't think they stuck and they're not making no revenue. People are just not into these stations anymore. You know, everything is streaming now. And if you don't have the platforms or the ability to get into the technology, you know, you're gonna be left behind. So you gotta move up. You know, you gotta keep on doing things. So the evaluation and details, the number of shares and their price have yet to be disclosed. So they haven't disclosed the shares of the price. You know what they're gonna price the Anthropic IPO on. I think they should put it as low as much as they can, because they can afford it. They're going on the platform. They're going to the NASDAQ and you know, gonna compete with the SP 500. You gotta start low because you're a beginner. You start high. It's hard for people, you know, regular people that trying to, you know, get inside this investment too. It's hard for them to get in. So I think if they go as low as they can, you know, people are gonna buy into it. As it goes low, at least, you know, $2, I would buy like 500 or to 1,000 shares. Believe me, because it's just comfortable for me to buy, and I don't mind losing $1,000. And if it goes up within those few minutes, you know, you make profits. It goes up to 500 and in a few hours, maybe 1,000 at $2. Everybody can afford that. You know, people that got deep pockets gonna you know, buy the stock. So I think it would be a good thing to do to bring the price of the shares lower, so that everybody in every, you know, income level could invest and have opportunity. Especially in these people with deep pockets, they're gonna buy in the thousands, maybe in the millions. So you know the price is gonna raise up. So you going in early, you got a better chance to, you know, to flip that money. And it's possible, people. Believe me, it's possible with that. You know, but you know, there's gonna be a lot of sales. That's what they don't allow that buy and switch. I think they was called. I call it buy and dumb, whatever, a flip. So then I gotta allow that. I think that you're gonna have a 30 days freeze before you could sell your stock. But anyway, that's how it works, people. So the competition, there's a lot of competition now with these IPO, these new companies that are coming up and taking a chance, and it's an opportunity for everybody. If the price is right? Because everybody don't got deep pockets. So this move puts Anthropic in a high-stake public race against rival OpenAIs. I guess the only one that's a rival AI is Google, right? ChatGPT and the other platforms, AI, you know, artificial intelligence. Who else? Google and Microsoft. I don't know those two people in there, but I know most of that I mentioned, they're out there, and they you know, top companies that got billions of dollars invested. So you can track further updates or read the company's official announcement on the Anthropic newsroom. See, let me say, explains why companies delay IPOs. I don't know. Let's see why they're delaying. So yes, Anthropic is actively moving towards the initial public offering. On June 1st, 2026, the company behind the cloud chatbot officially announced that it's confidently filed a draft registering statement on Form S-1 with the U.S. Secretary and Exchange Commission. Right, this filing follows a massive $65 billion Series H funding rounds in May 2026 that value Anthropic at $965 billion post money. See, these companies got money. There's no need to put a stock like SpaceX did, $135. You got money. You know, you're not gonna lose if you put the stock comfortable enough so that everybody could jump in, get inside the market, and buy your shares of your company. You know, and bring more money. I don't think you need the money, but that's a lot of people out there that's willing to take a chance and invest their money and make profit, and you make profit because the value of your company will go up. And people like to promote, so on YouTube, everybody's gonna be promoting it. If Anthropic does good, you don't know, there could be a competition between SpaceX and Anthropic now that he's coming on the fall 2026. People look into it. So I'm gonna see. So the value of Anthropic, I'm gonna read it again, at $965 billion post money, position it to potentially I don't know, they're competing with somebody at a historic $1 trillion evaluation later this year, while market conditions and regulations review will determine the exact timeline. Analysts expect, as always, analysts are coming in here, right, trying to give views or whatever, the prediction will determine the exact timeline. Analysts expect an official public market offering on the New York State Exchange or NASDAQ as early as the fall of 2026. So people, you got to think about it. You got to be ready. So it depends how much the value of shares cost. I'll probably go in on that one. I didn't go into SpaceX because to me it was kind of too high. But if Anthropic will bring this price comfortable enough so that everybody could get in and buy shares, I do it. I buy like 500 to 1,000 shares if the price is right for me, for my pockets, and 1,000 is what I'm willing to lose. If anything goes wrong. Why do companies delay going public? Historically, tech startups rush to public markets relatively early in their life cycle. Today, many mega, and I can't even see the letters even with my glasses, icons delay their IPOs for years. The primary financial and strategic reason for this delay includes abundance of private capital. If you got abundance of capital, why are you going to delay? Maybe it's got a different meaning. I don't know. So companies no longer need to go public. Well, I guess they got so much money they don't need to go public. I don't know. That's what I'm reading. That's my opinion on that. You're going to have to do your own research. To raise billions of dollars, massive private venue rounds, and wealth funds and private and equity can sustain growth indefinitely. Anthropic example. Anthropic raised $30 billion in February 2026 and another $65 billion in May 2026, entirely from private investors like Altimeter Capital. See, they got money. They've been trained this privately with private investors, but these private investors, they probably got money and they want to get paid. Nobody's gonna invest money and they're not getting nothing out of it. So I'm sure these private investors, these companies, or these people they're doing business with, they're asking for rewards. They want their money's value, and they're giving money out to these companies, to run their labs and whatever they're doing, to, I guess, help the humanity. I hope so. They're helping humanity. But anyway, that's what it is. These private offerings, I guess they want to give a chance to the regular person, right? And put it in public offering. So let me see. I didn't skip something. The evaluation without public market intervention. Oh, wait a minute. I think I skipped something. So they raised $30 billion in February 2026. Another $65 billion in May 2020. That's a lot of money, yo. That's 7, 8, 9. $9 billion altogether from February to May. And entry only from private offerings. Right, that was private, but now they're going public. So avoid quarterly public scrutiny. The mechanism public markets demand consistent